All right, let's talk about the single most personal piece of tech you own, your phone. We're going to dive into a pretty radical alternative to how it works, and you might be surprised at what's possible. Let's get into it.
Seriously, think about that for a second. You hold this thing in your hand for what, hours every single day? But who's really calling the shots? Who decides when it suddenly feels slow, or when it's time for an upgrade? Who decides what you can and can't install on it? This question, well, it's at the very heart of what we're talking about today. So before we can even get to the alternative, we've got to understand the world most of us are already living in. Let's pull back the curtain on the huge world that's been built around that device in your pocket, what we'll call the default experience. And if you want to understand this world, you just have to follow the money. I mean, look at this number, $74 billion. That's not even for the phones themselves. That's just the size of the global market for accessories. This shows you it's not just about selling a device. It's about building this gigantic commercial ecosystem around it.
But what's it actually like inside that ecosystem? Well, for the people making all those cases and chargers, it's basically a battlefield. The competition is just insane. Trends change in the blink of an eye. And there's this constant pressure to just push out the next new thing, the next new color, just to stay in the game.
And all of that chaos, all that pressure, it ends up creating a very specific experience for us, the users. It's a default that's built on a super fast cycle of consumption, where today's killer feature is tomorrow's forgotten gimmick. The whole system is basically designed for the phone to be replaced, not to last. But what if there was another way?
And that other way? It all starts with the code, the software that runs the whole show. It's about taking a step outside of the walled garden that most of us are used to. The alternative really kicks off with this idea called open source. So unlike the software on most phones, which is kind of like a secret black box, open source software makes its blueprint, the actual source code, totally public. Anyone with the skills can pop the hood, see exactly how it works, and even change things.
And going open like this has some really powerful advantages. For one, you get way more eyes on the code from experts all over the world, which naturally makes it more secure. It's cheaper because there are no licensing fees. But the real game changer for you, the user, is unrestricted customization. You can truly make the software your own.
What this really boils down to is a totally different philosophy. On one side, you've got the model we all know. The code is closed, a single company controls everything, and yeah, collecting your data is often just part of the business plan. But on the other side, you have an alternative like Sailfish OS. It's an open platform that's built from the ground up to respect your privacy. No selling your data. And it can still run your favorite Android apps, but it does it by keeping them in a secure, isolated sandbox.
But look, open software is only half of the story. What about the physical phone itself? Let's talk about the hardware and this idea of building a phone that's meant to last and even to change right along with you. This quote from the MottoFix project, it's a do-it-yourself modular phone initiative. It just hits the nail on the head. It's a direct shot at this whole idea that your expensive phone should become a piece of junk, e-waste, after just a couple of years. This is all about building for longevity.
So how does that even work? Honestly, it's a beautifully simple idea. You start with a main board. Then, let's say a year or two down the line, your battery starts to fade. You don't throw away the whole phone, you just swap in a new battery. And if some amazing new camera module comes out, you can upgrade just that one part. It's a phone that evolves.
And this creates a huge difference in design. The typical phone is a sealed box. It's filled with custom parts that make repairs a nightmare, if not impossible. A freedom-respecting phone, like ones from Librem, is totally different. It's actually designed for you to get inside. It uses standard, off-the-shelf parts, and it empowers you to replace the battery or upgrade your own storage.
Okay, so we've got open software, and we've got open hardware. Let's just zoom out for a second and look at the big idea that connects them both, this whole open source philosophy.
So, the definition of open source hardware, or OSH, probably sounds pretty familiar by now. Just like with the software, it's all about making the design blueprints public. This lets anyone study them, make them better, and even manufacture the physical product themselves. It's that same core principle of transparency and teamwork, but for things you can actually hold in your hand.
And you might be thinking this is some super niche hobbyist idea, right? Well, not exactly. It's growing. I mean, this chart of certified projects shows that, yeah, electronics is the big one at 60%. But the philosophy is spreading out into 3D printing, manufacturing, the Internet of Things. It's a movement that's really gaining some steam.
And this is a huge deal for everyone, because OSH can totally supercharge innovation. When you lower the costs and speed up how fast you can build a prototype, you can bring customers directly into the design process. You can tap into a global community of brilliant people. It's just a fundamentally faster, more collaborative way to build cool new stuff.
So where does this all leave us? We've basically looked at two completely different ways of thinking about the tech in our lives. And these two mindsets, they lead us down two very, very different paths.
Let's just break it down one last time. In the closed ecosystem, the code is a secret, the hardware is locked down, and the software is restricted. It's designed to be a consumer product that you buy. In the open ecosystem, the code is public, the hardware is replaceable by you, and the software is customizable. It's designed to be a tool that you truly own.
At the end of the day, the difference between these two paths isn't really about features or tech specs. It's a much deeper question about your relationship with your technology. It's about ownership, it's about how long things are meant to last, and it's about whether the whole system is built on principles you can actually see and trust.
Which really leaves us with just one final thought. The next time you pick up your phone, just ask yourself, in this world of the default versus the alternative, who do you think should have the final say over the device in your pocket? You or somebody else?